Today I'm going to be showing you the mouse kit. This is our little mouse and we're going to make it together. So you're going to open your kit and you'll see your wool in here. I'll just set that aside. You've got your white, pink, and the brown. This will be for our ears. We've got our little supply pack, instructions, some pipe cleaners, and our felting surface. And in here we have got our needles, our needle chart showing you what we've got. They're color coded. We've got an awl, finger protectors, a needle and a needle holder, and this is our eyes and whiskers. Okay, so our needle holder comes with a needle. You slide that out, turn your needle around, so this little L part, the little L part goes over the small bit, and then it will slide back in, and your needle will be ready to use. And then in our little container, they are color coded. We've got green, red, and orange, and the corresponding colors are on this chart. Our leather finger covers, these will go on your non-dominant hand, so over your thumb and pointer finger, and you'll hold your needle with your dominant hand. If you're left-handed, obviously this will be swapped. This is just to protect your fingers from any pokes if you're not familiar with felting. I typically don't wear them anymore, but if you're new to felting, I recommend it for certain parts of the project. Getting started, we're going to start with our long pipe cleaner, one of our long pipe cleaners. Fold it in half, and then we're going to fold it over, I think in the instructions I told you about 4 centimeters. Doesn't have to be exact. Oh, yep, and it's just about that length. Okay, and then I'm going to unroll this. I'm gonna take a section, maybe about, it's probably a little over a foot. Well, yeah, it's a little bit extra, but I'm gonna split this in half, and I'll start wrapping at the base of the head. And you want to wrap fairly tightly. The tighter you wrap, the less felting you really have to do. And you want to make sure that you're not twisting the roving as you're going like that, because you'll create little bumps, and you really want this to be smooth. So make sure you're taking any twist out of the roving and it's laying flat. And you're aiming for kind of like an almond or a teardrop shape. I like to just start with a little bit of fiber first, because it's easier to start with less and add more than add too much and try to take it off later. Just kind of work your way around. And when you're going around the pipe cleaner, you want to really make sure that you're not poking right into the pipe cleaner. You'll know if you do it, but you want to just try your best to avoid it, so you don't want to break your needle. Just keep working your way around. And I think he actually needs a little bit more. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is the other half of the piece that I split. I just ripped it in half again because I don't think I need that much. I'll just go and wrap again. And you want to make sure you're wrapping in the same direction as you did the first time. You focus on the nose side because the more you felt, the smaller the wool condenses and felts together. So if you felt more towards the end of the nose or the pointy side, you'll get more of that teardrop shape. Okay. Okay, and next we're going to take our other long pipe cleaner, fold it in half as well, and then we're going to put it in between these two. Put it in between, and then we're going to twist them together. So I like to put it through, and then I'll send this one through the opposite side. This isn't super important how you do this, you're just trying to secure these pipe cleaners together. I'll twist around. Keep twisting those tails downwards. Okay. And from here we have to decide how long we want our body to be. We're going to keep going down. I think in the diagram I said 7 centimeters. Let's see. Yeah, it's about 7. So from the base of the head, yep, about 7. And then we'll decide our leg length. These will be our legs. And you can choose to leave them like this, or you can bend them up if you want them a little bit shorter. Just give those a twist so they stay. And then just make sure you make the legs the same length. Okay. And then we'll take our short pipe cleaner and decide where we want our arms. I'll find the middle first. Decide where they should be. I think I always put them a little bit high, about 1 centimeter down, and then I'll cross once, and there are our arms, and then our last short pipe cleaner. We'll figure out how long we want our tail to be. I think about there. So I've got it between the legs, and then I'll go around the body, through the legs, back up and around the body, just securing it in place. No specific order you have to do it, but just making sure that it holds in its place. Next part is we're going to do the paws and the tail. I like to use glue, but it is optional. You can do it without. The glue just makes it a little bit easier. And I'm just using this tacky glue. Don't mind how it looks. I use it all the time. I'm going to start with one of the paws. I'll put a little bit of glue on the tip of the pipe cleaner. And then my pink roving. I'm going to just unroll it. And I'm going to start with a really small piece. So, kind of a small, thin piece. And stretch it out a little bit, draft it out. You want it to be kind of even, doesn't really have any big lumps or bumps. And we're going to start just before the glue, and you want to be wrapping this really tightly. Something that helps me is I usually pinch it. Your fingers are going to get a little bit sticky, but that's okay. Pinch it and then actually twist the body of the mouse around, keeping your fingers stable so the roving is just twisting around the pipe cleaner nice and tightly. And you're going to keep going until you have the desired size of your paw. I don't like to do them super huge. I think I've actually got a little bit of extra roving in my hand, so what I'll do is hold my finger on the paw and slide my fingers back. Oh, come on, get off. And then this excess I'll just wrap around. Perfect. And then we'll repeat the same thing for the other 3 paws. Okay, moving on to the tail. We're gonna, same kind of thing as the paws. I am going to get some glue. My glue is almost empty, so taking a little bit of work here. You don't want like a crazy amount on it, but just enough that the pipe cleaner is a little bit dampened with the glue. Okay. Same thing on a nice even piece all the way down, and we'll start up by the body. Same thing, I pinch and then I'll actually twirl the body as we go down. Very tightly wrapping. And we'll get to the end. Make sure that we've covered the tip of the pipe cleaner, and then we'll turn and then start coming back towards the body. This is why a nice thin piece of roving is easiest. So if you use a thicker piece, you'll end up with a thicker tail. Okay, all the way back to the body. And if you have a little bit of excess like I do, you can either rip it off, or I'm just gonna go right around the body, because this, you won't see this later anyway. And we've got plenty left for our nose. And now we're gonna start wrapping our arms. So I'm gonna take another section about a foot long, and I'm just going to divide it into two. And this will be for our arms. And I might draft it out a little bit again, just giving us a nice even slice. Start around the body once or twice, and then we'll start our arm. And we're going to do this a really similar way that we did our tail. We're going to pinch, work our way out to the paw, and then work our way back to the body. Tightly wrapping. Try not to get caught on your tail. So it might still have a little bit of wet glue on it. Working our way out. Meeting up to the paw, and then we'll start working our way back towards the body. And if your arm is too thin, you can add more. It's a little bit trickier if your arm is too thick. Then you might just have to take it off and go at it again. Going back towards the body. When I get to the body, I'll just wrap this excess around the body itself. A lot of times if you wrap tightly enough, you don't actually have to felt it into place, but if it's popping up, go ahead and give it a couple pokes. Just being careful of your pipe cleaner. Okay, and we'll do the same thing for the other arm. We'll go around the body once or twice. And then we'll start on the arm. Oops. And working our way back. I think this time I'll go around the neck a couple of times. Maybe cross around the body, hiding that pipe cleaner, and wrap any excess around. Give it a couple pokes to just hold into place. And we're going to do the same thing for the legs. Same thing, about a piece that's about a foot. Split it into two. And I'm just going to draft it out a little bit. Start around the body once or twice. 3 times. I mainly just like to have it tight so I can put a little bit of tension. And start around the leg. And I've actually got quite a bit of extra here, so I'll go around the body a couple times. And I think I have enough to do this leg. I will just continue around, go down the other leg and back up. If you don't have enough to do the other leg out of the same piece, that's totally fine. Just start the same way you did with your second piece. And going back up, I'll wrap this excess around the body. Gently felt around him. Oh, and there's like a little piece of hay from the sheep. Oops. Okay, and our mouse is actually pretty well covered. You can choose to leave your mouse really skinny, or you can fatten him up a little bit. And by doing that, you are just going to take more of your white wool and just start going around the body. And you might want to pay careful attention to areas like around his little bum, behind his neck, because these are areas where our pipe cleaners might be showing through. And you might also want to make his bottom a little bigger than his chest area. And to do that, you just need to wrap a little bit more wool around those areas. gonna call that good for the body, maybe. I'm gonna do a little bit around the neck. Now I think he's good. I'll adjust him a little bit. We need our little dark bit of wool, because we are going to give him a nose. And to start for a nose, I like to pinch off a little tiny piece of this brown, and we're going to twist it in our fingers, kind of almost creating a little thread. And it will release as soon as you let go. So give it a good twist. We're gonna take our little mouse, lay him down, and decide where we want his nose to be. We're going to make a little V shape. So the bottom of his nose, or the pointy bit, will be wherever we place this. Poke it into place, and then we can adjust the sides, and then determine how high up you want the nose to go. Poking that into place, trying to make it even. It's about even. Poke that into place along the line. And then I like to just take a pair of scissors and snip off this extra. Snip. And then I'll just felt those little tails down in. And then I'll take one of these little bits that we just cut off. Same kind of deal. Turning it into a little thread. We will make our mouth. Almost the same shape, but we're going to leave a little gap in the middle. And then we'll make our mouth. And you could make him smiling. You could make him kind of any expression you want, really. But this is just like a basic mouth. And then we'll take another tiny bit. This again is just that cut off piece. Twist it, and then we'll connect the two. And if you've got a lot of extra hanging off, just give it a snip. And there we have our little nose and mouth. And we can add a little bit of pink. I'll just grab a tiny bit, ball it up in my fingers. Felt that into place. Alright, and there's our nose. Next we're going to do our ears. We have our little piece of felt. We're going to fold it in half, and cut out an ear shape. You can decide however big or small. But we'll cut out an ear shape. Let's give him kind of big ears. Okay. And we've got our 2 ears. We will lay them down on the mat, facing each other, and then I like to fold them in half, hot dog style. Give them a few pokes. You'll do this to both ears. Towards the inside of the ear you're poking. Flip them over, same thing. A few pokes. Okay, and that's just going to help them hold that nice ear shape. And then we'll come and decide where we want our ear to sit. I think that's about good. We'll hold it really carefully. This is where you might really want to wear those finger protectors. And starting from the inside of the ear, start felting that. And work from the back. It can be a little bit tricky because you have that armature in there. But just work that ear until it's pretty secure. This neck to be felted a little bit better. Okay, and then we'll do the same for the next ear. Trying to make sure that it's even. And we are almost done. Now we've got to do our eyes, and for this you can take your awl and you're going to decide where you want your eye to be. I think about there is good. You're going to slowly work it in, and I'll just leave it there until I grab one of my eyes. Once I've got my eye, I will slide the awl out, and you'll see that it's left a little hole. You don't want to move around too much because it will close back up. We'll slide our eye in. We'll decide if we like that or not. I actually don't, so we're going to take it out. I'm going to move it forward a little bit. Trying again. Okay, yeah, that's better. And then I will kind of measure across. See about there. I'll poke through, grab our other eye. Sliding out. Slide our other eye in. And now we've got 2 eyes. And then we've got our little whiskers in this bag. These can be a little tricky. So I've got a whisker, and I like to just slide these through. It might take a couple of tries. It's a little tricky. Okay. Something else that is optional but is really helpful is I like to take a little bit of super glue, and you want to make sure it's a super glue that dries clear, and I will gently slide the eyes out a little bit and add a tiny bit on the post, slide it back in, slide it back in, actually give them a little squeeze. And then you can also dab a tiny bit on the base of each little whisker so they don't pull out, in case they're ever to snag on something. Just a tiny little bit. And we are done. There is our mouse. How cute is he? You know, he's posable. You could get creative and make him some clothes. You could do all sorts of things with this little guy. Right? Thanks for making him with me.